No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve Postgame Show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live, wherever you are on the internet, good evening to you and welcome to the Illegal Curve Post-Game Show. Ezzy, the Jets are going streaking. Do 2 wins make a streak? I'm not sure, but they've won 2 in a row.
I think you got to get to 3, Dave. You got to get to 3.
I remember once looking this up on ChatGPT, and I believe they said it was okay. But, I know that sometimes you would hold it a little differently. So that's why I asked you as the resident decider of whether it's appropriate or not. But regardless of whether it qualifies or not, the Jets have won 2 straight. They are feeling good, a little bit better about themselves after a tough West Coast road trip that saw them go 2-4-0. They come back. They had a day off on Sunday. They practiced yesterday, and a remarkably healthy Winnipeg Jets team as he back in for the first time all season with everybody now that Morgan Barron's in there. You have the full healthy Winnipeg Jets club. We know that Columbus played, the Blue Jackets played in Columbus last night, where not only did they go to overtime, but they went to a shootout. They won in the shootout. They were playing the Montreal Canadiens. They won the game, then flew here, and we heard that they arrived around 1:30 in the morning. Not to say that they were already making excuses, just the information that we were given as. But the Jets played a strong game and took advantage of their opportunities. Power play goal, were good on the PK. And although there weren't, it's funny, I said today in the pregame report that if they get into a special teams contest, the Jets power play, which had fallen as far as 13th, was now back up to 8th. Their PK slipped a little bit, but still 8th. The Columbus was like 26 on the PK and 21st on the power play. So the Jets would have been at an advantage if they gone to special teams. Didn't really, although again, they scored. So just your sort of overall assessment of the Jets having completed the 5-2 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets, improving to 12-7-0 on the season.
I just thought, Dave, that they started the right way and they just kept going. And obviously the second period is when the Jets took over the game. But especially in the third period, Kyle Connor scores that goal. And it was an important goal because at the time of that goal, it was 3-1. And then obviously Columbus comes back and makes it a 1-goal game, right? And then we know what happened. Logan Stanley restored the 3-goal lead, right? So
right.
I just liked how the Jets started, right? They obviously got the early power play. They didn't score on the power play, but Lowry gets the early goal. I think 7.5 minutes into the first period, that counts as a early goal. I love you too, Spency. I absolutely love you. And it's good to see Spency back in the chat because let's be honest, Spency's been a little hit and miss in the chat. I'm not calling Spency out right now because Spency and I have a texting relationship, so we text all the time. But I'm just saying, this year, so far, the first month and a half of the season, Dave, I'm just saying, Spency's been he's been missing in action a few times.
There's been a few folks missing in action, and we understand that. There's been a lot going on. You had the Blue Jays, you had the Bombers, you had the Grey Cup. There was a lot of other stuff going on. But guess what, folks? Now is the time to get locked in to hockey. And by that, I mean sometime in April. But for now, for our purposes, this was just the 19th game of the season. So we still have quite a few left to go. But the Jets pick up a much needed win because, I mean, it's interesting, right? Columbus has had 20. They both had the same amount of points as coming in, obviously Eastern versus Western. But this was an important game for Columbus because we know how tight things are, that you're the second wildcard team. And with this loss, and I haven't looked at the standings to see how that could impact anyone, but it just very easily could put you into last place if you don't pick up the points, right, Ez? So,
Dave, I'm just gonna disappear for 1 second because I just realized my computer's not plugged in, and that could cause problems. So here, I'm just gonna remove myself. I'm gonna remove myself for about 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna come back. Okay.
Sure, go ahead. The Dave Manouk Experience, everyone. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Dave Manouk here, your host, and no analyst. It's just me by myself, which is okay because usually I talk to myself anyways quite a bit when I'm solo. So I'll just continue. Oh, that was short-lived. Yeah,
well,
Tyson.
I was getting when you get the energy saver mode is on, and then I realized I wasn't plugged in there. So
Okay. Well, there was a lot of people there was some excitement. They were potentially going, there was an extra large me by also. And some folks were thinking there might be some Moose talk. There'll be some Moose talk on today's show. We'd have no
Dave,
Drew.
I would never leave you hanging for that long. Come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that. It's all good. Oh, that we keep removing Kaz. I'll give you the conch. But ultimately, you've got a Jets team that needed to feel good about themselves. And again, Morgan Barron back in the lineup. We knew he was getting back. Cole Koepke is ready to go. He's been cleared. So the only player that is left on IR is Hayden Fleury. We know the Jets made the big move yesterday. I asked Scott O'Neill about it in our media availability with him following practice on Monday. He didn't give me anything. I said to him, I'm going to preface this by saying, I don't want to make an assumption, but at the same time, you're going to have to make some moves. And what was the benefit to Brad Lambert and Nikita Chibrikov being up with the big club? And he didn't want to touch it, but he basically said, they've played 18 games. That's been huge. And it's something we talked about on the Saturday show. But ultimately, if you actually look at it, he's like, I don't want to get into it. And then, of course, like an hour later, as they send everybody down. But just to give folks, he did shut me down. That's right, CMAC. But, well, he answered still, so he didn't completely shut me down, I'd say. But the fact of the matter is that in case you weren't aware, in case you weren't paying attention to illegalcurve.com, and, for shame if you weren't, but if you weren't aware, the Jets did make that move as of yesterday, sending those three players down to the Moose, and again, getting Morgan Barron and Cole Koepke, who was it? Who was the other? Oh, yeah, Cole Koepke off of IR. And Hayden, like I said, Hayden Fleury in concussion protocol. He did skate today.
Cole Koepke was a healthy scratch tonight, for the record,
technically,
right?
Yeah, technically he was, technically tonight. And Hayden Fleury was in a yellow non-contact, so he skated with the group today. So he could be out of it too. But my guess is they're not going to make any moves after this. They're going to keep everybody. They're going to keep the 8 defensemen. They'll have the one extra forward. And, again, this, I guess, has more, forget about all the moves. We can always talk about that later after, but your impressions of the Jets as a collective team with what, Mike McIntyre asked Scott O'Neill about this earlier today, but this is the team they envisioned having. Now, 3 of their guys are a month behind everyone else for the most part. And you had Morgan Barron now miss a couple of weeks since he last played in that Pittsburgh game. So it may not look like the Winnipeg Jets right now that you might see in like 3 weeks' time, but analytically, I think they looked a lot better tonight. And from your perspective, what did it look like to you having the collective group back together?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Before I answer that, Dave, Yin Vivian, for those listening on the podcast, Yin Vivian's got a good comment here. The only Winnipeg Jet who may have had a harder slap shot than Logan Stanley was Robert Marvin Hull. I'll throw one other Winnipeg Jet in there. Dave Manson.
Oh, yeah. He had a big...
Dave Manson had a pretty hard shot. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, Dave Manson represented the Jets' one All-Star game in the hardest slap shot.
Was it 103 miles an hour or something like that?
Yeah, he was up there. Don't call him Charlie, though. That's for sure. But yes, Bobby Hull had a hard slap shot. Dave Manson had a hard slap shot. And we will get into Logan Stanley's 5-2 goal. That was one of the nicest shots of the year. So we'll definitely get into that. But yeah, Dave, I mean, as you mentioned, the Jets are back to full health finally. It only took until late November or mid-November for that to happen. And I liked Morgan Barron's game. I thought, he was moving his feet. He looked good on that line with Pearson and Nyquist. This was just a complete team effort. I realized that, it was mentioned a lot on the broadcast, and we'll probably, say that word a lot. But, you had 5 different goal scorers. You had, 5 guys that had multiple point games, obviously led by Scheif, who had the hat trick of assist. Scheifele, Velarde, Connor were, nothing short of spectacular tonight. And, we've come to expect that, obviously, Dave, over the years, or since that line has been together, since Velarde came over from L.A., and obviously Scheifele and Connor have been doing it for, years, many years now. Line was really good tonight. And I liked how active the Jets defense was tonight. And obviously, Neal Pionk gets on the board. We didn't think it was going to take 19 games for him to get his first goal of the year.
Skills coach, the skills coach.
Yes, absolutely. And, comes on the power play. And again, we'll get into that when we break down the goals and the playing down game recap. But I just liked how this team didn't take the foot off the gas. They were very good to start, and they should have taken advantage. You mentioned Columbus comes in here, second game of back-to-back. That's pretty brutal travel, right? To come to Columbus to Winnipeg for one game, even though they won that game. But I gotta admit, Dave, like I've been very impressed by this Columbus team, and we shouldn't be surprised. And if you have to cut to Scott Arniel, just let me know, Dave. But I mean, Dean Evison is one of the best coaches as far as I'm concerned. I think you agree with that, Dave. He's been obviously a good coach.
Where is he from, Ezzy?
He's from Flin Flon, my dad's hometown. So
I was going to say we can't not mention that, for God's sakes.
Well, we also, if we're giving shout outs, we got to give a shout out to Denton Matejchuk.
Ezzy, come on. I mean, we're not going to gloss over that one. I mean, the guy, half of Dominion City was in Winnipeg, maybe more. And we're not going to rush through that. We'll get to that on the other side of Scott Arniel. We're going to hear from head coach Scott Arniel soon. Not quite yet. So finish your thought on Dean Evanson, but we'll get to Denton in a second.
Well, no, I was just going to say this Columbus team they're for real, and they came into this game in the second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference is completely wide open. It's maybe more wide open, but so I think the Jets deserve credit for how they played. I mean, they really had their game and they looked fast, and that's something we've been talking about on that road trip. There were too many games, specifically against Anaheim and San Jose, where the Jets did not look fast. Yeah. And I liked the Jets' speed tonight, and I just liked how they were opportunistic. I mean, the Kyle Connor goal is a perfect example, right? Like he's along the goal line, looks like he might come around the net and try to pull a wraparound on Merzlikins, and he ends up banking it off of his mask kind of / shoulder, right?
Filthy.
So, I mean, just a filthy goal. I just like the Jets. They had that killer instinct tonight, and that's something that they maybe they've lacked a little bit on that road trip. And I think the circumstances for this game were just perfect, right? You had the extra day, you had practice yesterday, you're getting healthy, and the Jets are feeling good about their game. So I think there's a lot to like about this game, and they needed to have a good game because coming up on Friday, you've got one of the best teams in the league in Carolina. So the Jets needed to get back to their usual successful style of play.
Well, here comes head coach Scott Arniel to tell us more.
How close was that to the 60-minute effort that you've been looking for?
Yeah, that was real good. That was probably one of our, if not the best of the year. It was right near the top. So I like the fact that we went after them right the first 5 minutes. I thought we did a really good job of not letting them kind of get themselves warmed up and into the game. We knew that they had a late night last night and playing, and so you have to do that. You have to, you get those opportunities. You have to bounce on teams, and that's a big goal to get it started.
What did you like about the return of Morgan Barron, and what's it like to have a fourth line that you can really trust out there?
Yeah, it helps on, especially at the Marchenko line, Fantilli and those guys. It helped where I had Lau against them, and if I couldn't, then Bears line was going against them, and I thought that all 6 guys did a really good job, and no disrespect to the other lines, but the matchups worked out great. Put Scheif against one of the other group, and then JT against their matchup as well. So it's nice when you have 6 guys that you can rely on to be, to do the right things. I thought everybody was good tonight in the sense of defending first and not giving Columbus a whole lot of room to work.
What did you see from the top line, Scott, specifically from those guys today?
Well, I mean, a couple of highlight plays. That pass by Scheif to JMO on the back door is, that's top end, and obviously KC's goal. Those are plays that those guys make, and then obviously I know setting up Stan for that the bomb there, but. When they get time and be able to make plays like that, that's where you really see their skill set come out. And we've been very fortunate to be able to watch it here for the last, for quite a while. People that have been around, watching Scheif be here for a while and KC be here for a while. That, it's fun to watch when they make those plays.
And what does it mean for the back end to get a little bit more involved offensively? 3 goals from them this evening.
Yeah, no, it was big, especially P to get that first one. On the power play, it was they kind of set it up there. It kind of worked its way through faceoffs, and JT winning some draws, and they used the back end net. I like the way that they kind of worked their way into that. But when your D can add offense from that back end, it makes you that much more dangerous. We talk about depth scoring, and you sometimes just look at the forwards, but I think that Columbus is the highest scoring D in the league right now, and that's a big part of the game. If you can have guys coming from that back end and being dangerous and getting their shots to the net or attacking the net, as both as JMO did on his, those are big, and it puts pressure on the opposition.
Scott, Mark has hit a number of milestones this season, but what can you say about him becoming the franchise's all-time leader in games played?
I mean, obviously he's a couple of games now away from 900. I know that's first and foremost the franchise record. That's special. That means you've been able to be, stay healthy. The other side is that, he's an elite athlete, and he takes a lot of pride in his body, and so that he can play, close to 82 games every year. And just the consistency, obviously we know all the other stats that have been building with his offense. And, I don't think he ever he's getting the recognition. I think people are really starting to recognize there's a real good hockey player in Winnipeg.
Offense definitely showing up tonight, but Comrie makes some big saves down the stretch there. What do you see from this team when he's in the crease?
You know what? I think that it's everybody wants to win for either goaltender, but at the end of the day, when your backup goes in, you want to make sure that you're limiting the amount of opportunities that come the other way. But that's one thing about Comps. He frustrates our players in practice, because that save that he made on the power play diving across, he does it in practice every day, once or twice. So he's very popular in our room. He's around because you can hear him, but he is, for guys to step up and, obviously last year was a little different. We didn't give him the run support. This year we've done a better job when he's been in the net.
One of your veteran D we don't talk about as much is Dylan DeMello. I think he's the one that Wood passed for his breakaway, but he also gets that block with Comrie down and out. Where's his game at in terms of what you're looking for?
Yeah, a lot more consistent game to game, shift to shift from. Him and I had a long chat about it in the summertime, at the end of the year, and then in the summer, and then at training camp. And there's a lot going on. He had a busy summer last year, and I just thought this year he did a great job of preparing himself, and it's shown in his game. With the injury to Sammy was big, and him and JMO playing like they have. The minutes are huge. Being able to do, some of the things JMO gets the offensive side, but Mel does a lot of good things defensively. And I know he's mad at himself on the Wood goal, because we had showed some, like Columbus does blow out their wingers on some, when out of their zone. And but he at the end of the day, his consistency has been real good this year, and that's what we were hoping for.
Just on Scheifele becoming the franchise leader, it seemed Connor didn't necessarily know. Scheif said he was just surprised by it too, but you always seem to know these things. Was this one that you guys were tracking internally, or did it sneak up on you too?
No, we knew. There's another one coming in 2 games too, so there'll be a little bit more of that. We always acknowledge everything, whether it's at the pregame meeting or on the ice, whatever. But yeah, this was kind of knew that was coming on the ice, so kind of let him get his celebration.
Sorry, I got to admit my ignorance. What happens in 2 games?
Just do the math.
Whoa! Math guy. Did that too. Thanks, guys.
And there he goes, head coach Scott Arniel, after chastising Murat for not being able to add 898 plus 2, which would equal 900 games in the NHL for Mark Scheifele.
Wow, Dave, that's some impressive math that you just did there.
I went to the John Ginsberg School. I went to the John Ginsberg School of Mathematics.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I think Murat was thinking maybe it was somebody else. Like in Murat's defense, I think maybe he wasn't thinking that it's Scheifele. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he thought it might, because Arniel didn't specify it was Scheifele.
That's true. That is true.
Right? So maybe in Murat's look, Murat's our boy, so we got to
we'll defend him.
Defend him, right? So. But, I mean, sorry, Dave, I know we're going to get into the goals in the Play Now game recap, but, I mean, when I think of the fact that Scheifele's already going to hit 900 games, it feels like just yesterday Remus and I were in St. Paul, and he was being drafted by the NHL's Winnipeg Jets with that NHL logo jersey. You remember that, Dave?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I mean, that was 14 years ago, man.
I know,
time flies, that's for sure.
Well, and it's amazing. I was going to check but how many of those guys who have been in the draft in 2011? How many of them do you think have played 900 games? What would be? You're pretty good at that kind of stuff. What would be your guess?
Ooh, so I'm going to say you got. So Ryan Nugent-Hopkins went first overall that year. So I'm going to say Nugent-Hopkins for sure.
Yeah, he's at 975. He's number 1.
Yeah. I mean, that was the draft where Kucherov went in the second round.
This is now the next.
So I'm gonna say Kucherov.
He hasn't played 900 games though.
What's he at?
No, he hasn't played. Kucherov hasn't. What is he at?
No, he's not at 900 yet. He's probably close though.
800s maybe.
Yeah, he's probably in the 800s.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say just
819. Actually, he's at 819.
Okay. I'm gonna say two. Scheifele and Nugent Hopkins.
Nope.
How many?
Brandon Saad. Saad played 953, so that's the second one. Mika Zibanejad, 950, so that's number 3. Adam Larson, 948. Jonathan Huberdeau, 927. So Mark Scheifele will be the 6th player from that draft class.
Interesting.
I like when we do trivia, especially when Mindell's not around. It's always kind of more fun.
Actually, turned out to be a good draft because, and Couturier is obviously not nowhere close to 900 because all of the games he's missed, right? But like that was the for. I mean, I don't know how many years, Dave, were we talking about that? More so, that was kind of like 2013 to 2016. It was kind of, I think, around 2017, 18 when the Jets went on that run to the Western Conference Final. That's probably when people stopped talking about it, right? Because Scheifele was so good. How many goals did he have that year, Dave? 13 or 14?
Yeah,
15, crazy. Something like that. I think he had 8 goals or 9 goals against Nashville in the second round alone.
Yeah.
But Sean Couturier, he went, of course, 8th overall, and Scheifele went 7th overall, and that was the big debate back in the day.
The narrative, if you will.
Yeah, nobody's talking about that anymore. I think Scheifele is pulled away pretty. I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, Couturier is a very good player, but he's not the type of.
By the way, Dave, Couturier is at 891.
Yeah, no, he's played. No, he's really.
But you know what it is though, Couturier.
Oh, right, because he didn't.
He came in a year earlier.
That's right. I was going to say he played that one extra year and that's why there was that debate because Scheifele went back to Barrie, and Couturier played. Although I'm surprised he's played that much given kind of his injury history as.
Well, he missed a full season.
What's that?
He missed a full season, right?
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. So it's surprising that he's at that high, but you're right. Yeah. He did get in earlier. Anyways, we're digressing, which we tend to do.
Another topic for discussion is if you were to redraft that 2011 draft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Scheifele goes higher than 7. He might. I think we'd all agree Kucherov probably goes number 1.
Oh, Kucherov goes first. He's got 1,000. He's got 1,000 points. Over 1,000
points, right? But I think Scheifele can make the argument as a top 3 pick if you do that. If you redraft that, Dave.
Oh, I would think so for sure.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. What is this? Mark Scheifele lunch?
And Nugent Hopkins. Let's be honest, he's had a great career too. I mean, and Zibanejad's had a great career. Like it wouldn't be close, but he would definitely be. I think at the minimum he would go up a couple spots in that draft for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it. Another fair way of putting it is that we need to get the show back on track because we're losing focus, which was Losing Focus was a good album if I recall correctly, but we'll focus on that after.
Wasn't that the name of AP's band?
Oh, that was the name of AP's band. I knew that I remembered it somehow. Yeah. There we go.
Shout out to our boy AP.
Oh.
The Play Now game recap.
Don't bet on illegal gambling sites, Ezzy. Bet with Play Now instead. Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. Well, Ezzy, it wasn't just Mark Scheifele. If we're going to give shout-outs, though, we should give shout-outs to everyone, including Nino Niederreiter, even though I misspelled his name, playing his 200th game in a Winnipeg Jets jersey, where you speak about the time going. I mean, it's amazing he's already played 200 games as a member of the Winnipeg Jets, but that's not where we're focused. We're focused on the fact that, Ezzy, hold on. Before we get going, though, do you want to talk about the pride of Dominion City?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I could talk about Denton Matejchuk all day long. By the way, speaking of accomplishments.
Yes.
I mean, the accomplishments, the milestones are just coming left and right here, Dave.
Okay.
Nino Niederreiter is at 9. He's either at 988 or 989. I don't know if Hockey DB's updated with tonight's game, but Nino Niederreiter is going to hit 1,000 games very soon. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a very exciting night. That's going to happen. Well, it won't happen in November. It'll happen in December, but that'll be awesome for him and his family. So got to get that in there. He's had a great career. But Denton Matejchuk,
and for the record, sorry, just quickly on Nino, I mean, he's right now he's got 13 points in 19 games. I mean, he's
he's
on
off to a
pace.
good start.
He's on pace for over 50. Again, I love the on pace thing, and Ezzy always gives me a hard time about it, but he's had a very good start to the season. So, anyways, let's talk about the pride of Dominion City.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what a story. He's and I got to know him a little bit working at Hockey Manitoba, and he's just a great guy, great family. I think I mentioned his brother just won the WHL Cup with Team Manitoba, Crosby Matejchuk, and he might end up being a first round pick when it's his draft year. I think that's going to be 2028 or 2029. Anyways, it's a big family from Dominion City, but just great for him. I'm not sure if you know either, Dave. I'm not sure how many of his family were in town, but pardon me.
Oh, I heard it was like 150 people.
I was going to say, I imagine there was a lot. So yeah, great for the Matejchuk family, and just a good person and a very talented defenseman. Right, he's very young, 21 years old. He's already got 4 goals on the year. Last year was his first full-time year in the NHL. Played 45 games last year. So yeah, just great for him, and great to see that he had so much family in attendance tonight.
Yeah, no question about it. And it's funny because when I post the stuff on our socials, as I always laugh when you think that it's like a Jets goal that gets crazy likes, that sort of thing. But when I posted that one, all Manitobans started to get excited about that.
Well, and also Damon Severson's from Manitoba as well. So a third of their defense is from Manitoba, Dave.
And yeah, but although he was born here, right? I think he grew up in. Did he grow up in BC?
I think you're right. He didn't. I don't think he played his minor hockey in Manitoba, but he was born in Manitoba.
Yeah, I think he was born in Brandon. But yeah, I mean, but I'm not 100%. You're the expert, so I'm going to defer.
No, he
to you,
didn't.
I'm
pretty sure. Like I would have to go into the Hockey Canada registry to check this, but I'm pretty sure he didn't play his minor hockey in Manitoba.
Okay, so of course they have the big ceremony, not ceremony, but announcement. Mark Scheifele, 898. Who does he trail? Thomas Steen, 950 games. So he is not the guy who's worn the Jets jersey the most in this city, but he will eventually get there. No surprise to anyone. Anyways, let's focus on the game because there's a game to play. And Adam Lowry.
Severson played his minor hockey in Saskatchewan. I just looked it up.
There we go. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So Jet Bomber is saying Severson is from Manitoba like Duncan Keith is from Manitoba. Fair enough. Although, was Duncan Keith born in Kenora? Or was he born in Winnipeg? Was he born in Winnipeg and then I think he was born in Winnipeg, moved to Kenora, and then moved out to BC?
I think you're right. I want to say he played his minor hockey, and wasn't he a BCHL guy?
Yeah, I think he moved. I'm pretty sure he played out in BC. Anyways,
yeah.
Wait, we're really.
He was born in Winnipeg. He was born in Winnipeg, but he did not play his minor hockey in Manitoba. Hold on one sec, Dave. Yeah, he played for Penticton in the BCHL. And then he played for Kelowna, and then blah blah blah. But so
let's remember,
I mean, at the end of the day, he's got roots here in Manitoba. Whether or not he played his minor hockey here, same thing goes for Damon Severson. I'm sure he'd tell you that. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys had some extended family in the province, right?
For sure. And the reality is, if we were making the all Manitoba team like we did, I want to say 20 years ago, Ezzy, then we could include Duncan.
Oh yeah,
Keith
they'd be on there. Yeah,
they'd be on there. But anyways, let's focus on the game. Adam Lowry, who spoke today. He had Adam Lowry, by the way, in Tough yesterday. He did a media availability with about 50 kids in the Matt Frost Media Center.
I heard your question today, Dave. It was a good one.
Yeah. I got a chuckle out of him because I didn't ask him to judge the quality of the questions that he got today against the ones yesterday. Although it's funny, it makes you feel old when Adam Lowry is feeling old. Adam Lowry didn't understand the meme, that whole, this one with the 6'7" thing, whatever the hell that means. And he goes, I think my meme game isn't up to snuff. What is up to snuff, though, is his goal scoring game. And he opens the scoring for the Winnipeg Jets in the first period. Beautiful pass by Nino Niederreiter, just 7:35 into the first period. What did you see?
First off, I got to see where the mute button is, Dave. So here, let's go. I mean, this is just an absolutely monster shift by Lowry. He starts it all off by hunting the puck, gets the puck down low, puts it on net, then kind of follows it around, gets it back to Pionk, who finds Niederreiter in the corner. And you're absolutely right. It's a nice pass, tape to Lowry. But I just like how Lowry stays. First off, his feet don't stop moving this entire shift. Mm-hmm. But I love how he just finds a little time and space, and he kind of gets lost. I think it's the top line. Yeah, it's the top line that was out there, the Adam Fantilli line that was out there. Mm-hmm. And Lowry just kind of goes to where the opening is, and Niederreiter finds him with a nice pass. So I just liked how Lowry starts this play off, digs the puck from behind the net, gets it back to Pionk, and then just keeps moving and goes right where you're supposed to go, right to the slot, right? So that line just continues. And look, you mentioned Dave Niederreiter's played 200 games. I mean, how many of those have been with Adam Lowry? A lot of them, right? Not all of them, but most of them. And yeah, it was just a good opening goal. And I thought that line had energy, not only on that goal, but earlier shifts and also throughout the game. Niederreiter, we talked about it, Dave. He's been there the whole year. He on the road trip, maybe the offense wasn't there a little bit, but for the most part, through 19 games this season, Niederreiter has been one of the Jets' best forwards. He really has. And when you consider all of the injuries, and the thing is, we expect excellence out of the Scheifele line. We already talked about it, right? Like, nobody should be surprised at this point. Scott Arniel was asked about it, and he was saying, people are starting to realize how good of a player Scheifele is. Like, if people haven't realized how good of a player Scheifele is, what league have they been watching? like he just put up a career points last year. What was it? 87 points last year. I mean,
something like that.
And we already talked about it. I mean, he's been a great playoff performer, and he's been one of the most consistent centers in the game, right? So yes, I mean, does he get buried a little bit behind Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid and Nikita Kucherov and some other players? Absolutely. But as it stands now, I don't think Team Canada can really keep him off this team, Dave. Like, if he keeps this up, like what's he at, 27 points or something like that right now? I think that Mark Scheifele right now is doing everything in his power to make Team Canada. I know that we're not getting into the Scheifele goals yet, but the assist, I should say. But Lowry was great on the shift, and great to see him. And now it just seems like he's in midseason form after coming back on the road trip.
Well, and the Jets really seem to build on that, right? They obviously had the early power play, which they didn't score on, but they had the sort of control of the play. They were out shooting Columbus. I think it was 6-2 at one point. And so you're like, okay, the Jets are kind of rolling. They're going to keep this going, but they weren't able to beat Merzlikins again. And then kind of an unusual play. Miles Wood, for the record, was on the fourth line yesterday. The first line, he gets elevated to the first line because they sat, what's his name? Igor, I'm going to mispronounce it. Anyways, the who was it? As he was he actually asked for a trade previously
on Columbus.
Yeah,
was it Chinakhov?
Chinakhov, that's it.
Chinakhov,
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was.
By the way, Dave, is there a more underrated player in the NHL right now than Kirill Marchenko? Like, he had 74 points last year.
Well, did he get a point tonight?
I mean, did anybody have a quieter 74-point season? Like, I feel like with Fantilli centering Voronkov and Marchenko, like, that line's got size and they've got a lot of skill. And yes, they were playing the second game of a back-to-back, so I mean, that wasn't their best game tonight. But credit the Jets for shutting that line down tonight.
Well, I think he had 11 points in 11 straight games, if I recall correctly. So 11 or 12, something like that. So you're right, Ezzy, he's been unbelievable. He didn't get a point today. I just checked. So, but first of all, you get the rare goaltender assist. Elvis Merzlikins gets the assist, the secondary assist. Severson gets it up. Kind of an unusual play, and as we heard in Scott Arniel's media availability, he said that he kind of had an expectation that that's what Columbus was going to try, and really got to credit Miles Wood because the way he kicks it off of his skate ahead to himself, and then I have to think, I couldn't really see the motion that the ref made because, of course, he pointed at the goal because Miles Wood scored on this play, but you have to think there's going to be a penalty shot if, in fact, he doesn't score.
Yeah, I think when you're watching that, you're thinking, okay, maybe he would have been a tripping penalty, or pardon me, a hooking penalty, I should say.
Yeah.
But they're definitely, I think you're right, Dave. I think it wouldn't have been a penalty. I think it would have been a penalty shot. But this is just, like, to me, this is just Miles Wood out skating DeMello, right? Yeah. Like, because they're right, they're neck and neck at center. And then Miles Wood just beats him. He just has an extra burst, and it's a really nice move to the back end to beat Eric Comrie. Nobody's going to fault Eric Comrie on that goal, but a kind of a rare goal where you have two ex-Devils, right? Because Severson and Miles Wood were both Devils. Yeah. Miles Wood more recently was on the Avalanche. But yeah, just a nice flip pass by Damon Severson. That, like you said, it goes off his skate and he just follows it in, and just nice speed. And like you said, Dylan DeMello, that's what you got to do in that situation, right? Like, so if that ended up being a penalty shot, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that because DeMello was beaten. So why not just try your luck and try to hook him and try to take him out of the play a little bit. But yeah, that was a nice goal. But for the most part, I mean, I didn't think Columbus had a lot in that first period, right? Like it was fairly uneventful. Obviously, the second period was much more exciting, but like we said earlier, I always like to give the Jets credit, and the Jets, that was one of their best games of the year. I think the Pittsburgh game, this game and the Pittsburgh game, I think, Dave, you'd agree, were probably two of their best games of the year. But
maybe they're maybe they're an Eastern Conference team at heart.
I like it. But that Columbus team is easy to cheer for as an underdog, right? Obviously, the tragedy with Johnny Gaudreau is something that they're playing for Johnny Gaudreau, but there's also, and his brother, I should mention, but there's so many good players that on that team. Like, you look at a guy like Kent Johnson. Eric Comrie absolutely robbed Kent Johnson there in the third period. Yeah. But like, you look at like a guy like Cole Sillinger. We talked about Adam Fantilli. I mean, Adam Fantilli is an emerging superstar in this league. Zach Werenski, I mean, he's going to be a top defenseman for the U.S. at the Olympics. What did he finish in Norris voting, third or fourth this past year? So Zach Werenski's kind of in the shadows of Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes a little bit, Dave. Yeah. But man, I'd take Zach Werenski on my team any day of the week. He's incredible.
Can I ask you if Sean Monahan was in the game?
He didn't do much tonight. And actually, we'll get into I think it was the fourth goal. Yeah, the fourth goal, I think that was when Morrissey stepped up and he picked off the pass by Monahan. But yeah, I think it's been a bit of a slow start. Does Monahan have a couple of goals? I think he hasn't had a great start to the season there in Columbus. I'll have to check that. But I'm not certain. He didn't have a huge impact on the game tonight.
Doug's point is Monahan was invisible. I just didn't notice him. Like, it's funny when, especially like ex-Jets, you kind of say, okay, I'm going to look out, see what they're doing, see how they look. And to me, I don't even remember, other than the play you describe as a play that Sean Monahan was there. I mean, I saw he only played about 16 and a half minutes in tonight's game, but you'd think in 16 and a half minutes you would have done something. But it was clear to me, at least, that there was not a lot there from regular Sean Monahan or boring Sean Monahan.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And yeah, I just checked. Monahan's only got 2 goals in 20 games. 2 goals, 9 points in 20 games. He's still a great player. But he's off to a bit of a slow start. And the thing is, on Columbus, you've got a few guys that, I know Cole Sillinger's only got a couple goals. So there's other guys that are, not having the best start to the season. It's kind of been that top line, right? We talked about Fantilli, Voronkov, and Marchenko have really been driving the bus there. And then they get a lot of offense from the defense. Scott Arniel mentioned that, right? Like, it's not just Werenski, but you've got Damon Severson, you've got Denton Matejchuk, who's been chipping in, right? So
Provorov.
Yeah, Ivan Provorov. Yeah, another guy. Every time I watch Ivan Provorov, really impressive. He was a guy who was linked to the Jets back in the day, if you remember, right? But yeah, a nice goal by Miles Wood. But the most important thing is, as we'll get into, is the second period. The Jets started right, came out, and they made sure that they took over this game in that middle frame.
Well, so before the period began, and I don't know how much of this they talked about on the broadcast, but we're sitting there in the press box, and for the record, the internet was not working well tonight. So some guys would have it, some guys wouldn't have it.
That's why I wasn't sure what your joke was on Twitter, Dave, when you were talking about the internet.
Well, so what happened was the internet stopped working in the press box at points, and so then I don't know how many people are aware or weren't aware, but maybe some folks were late getting back to the couch. But it started with the refs on the phone with someone in the penalty box. But the play hadn't even begun. So I'm like, why are they already on the phone? And there was speculation that perhaps the TVs that are in the Columbus room, Columbus bench, weren't working, or maybe the Jets ones. We weren't certain exactly what was going on but in some capacity, something wasn't happening because they dropped the puck eventually. But it was like a minute or two of delay, and it's just kind of unusual. And then 45 seconds into the period, the refs are back at the penalty box, one of them at least, on the phone. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And one guy who doesn't need any internet, and you talk about offense from the defense, Ezzy, is Josh Morrissey. And it's just kind of funny how, one of the things, I think it was on Saturday's show, that we were talking about how the Jets have had success, but they haven't been getting a ton of scoring from the defense. Well, today that, of course, is going to change, and we're going to get into all the goals by defensemen. But let's start with Josh Morrissey. He gives the Jets a 2-1 lead on what I would describe as just a beautiful kind of drive by Mark Scheifele, and credit Josh Morrissey for putting himself in that right place at the right time. But how did you see that one?
Yeah, there were a lot of nice goals tonight, Dave. Like this wasn't like, some of those games on the West Coast road trip, like some of the goals we were breaking down, like, tip shots or, pucks going off of legs, stuff like that. This is just a pretty goal. Like it really is. And like, we obviously talked already a lot about the Scheifele line, but, Morrissey, it's like, it's almost like, people get tired of hearing about it, but like he really was one of the players that elevated his game tonight, and like he usually does, so it shouldn't be a surprise. But nice work by Scheifele here, just bringing the puck over the blue line and just putting it right on his tape, and also like Morrissey getting right behind, I think it was Provorov, if I'm not mistaken, who was the right side defenseman there. Mm-hmm. I'd have to double check, but Morrissey, it was Provorov, number 9. And Morrissey just goes to the net, and Provorov, pardon me, it was Werenski. It was Provorov and Werenski. Okay. Yeah. But it's Morrissey getting behind, and it's not like there's a lot of space behind Werenski. Werenski's a big man, but he knows exactly where he needs to be. He puts himself in a position where he knows if he gets a little bit of space behind Werenski, Scheifele's going to put it right on his stick. And Dave, you often talk about how underrated Kyle Connor's playmaking aspect of his game is. Right. And I think sometimes we forget of how good of a playmaker Scheifele is, right? He's known a little bit more as a goal scorer. Obviously, tonight he gets the 3 assists, but just really impressive, because that's one of those goals where, Columbus has numbers back, right? Like this is a 3-on-3 situation. It's not like Columbus is it's not an odd man situation or anything like that, but just really impressive jumping up into the play. And that's obviously a theme. We already mentioned it. We'll get into the Pionk goal and the Stanley goal later, but you can see, I think, that the Jets are making a more concerted effort to get their D. And I might be wrong about that. I mean, maybe the bounces are just starting to go the Jets' way, Dave. But I really do think that on a night like tonight, you saw the Jets D pinching up, getting more into the play, creating offense, and just really nice, execution on this goal. Just was really, really impressive.
Sounds like a question I'm going to ask Scott Arniel and take full credit for tomorrow. I'll be like, Scott, let me ask you a question. It seems like I'm not going to give any credit to SEG, but let me ask you a question. Kidding, of course. But anyways, let's get on.
Dave, do it. I'm fine with that. Unlike Mendel, the thing is, I'm all about getting it done for the team. So Mendel wants the personal accolades. I could care less, as long as a legal curve is getting notoriety. That's all I care about. That is true. And the chat. Obviously, I never forget about the chat.
You are a consummate team player. There's no question about that. Nobody retweets IC more than SEG, I should say. So I'm
pretty sure I'm retweeting IC in my sleep at this point.
Well, anyways, let's keep with the defensive theme, Ezzy, because Neal Pionk, aka the skills coach, has Leonard saying it was 98 miles an hour for Dave Manson's big shot. So I was off by 5, but
you're also talking about back in the day when, I feel like all players have 98 mile per hour shots now. Like you're talking about, this is what, 20 to 25 years ago, longer than that. You're probably talking about 30 years ago at this point. Yeah. So Manson was right up there with Al Iafredi and all those other guys. So 98. I'm not sure where Leonard found that, by the way.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the internet. Maurice
is Leonard AI?
No, but Leonard's apologizing because Leonard's behind the show. So now Leonard's reintroducing the topic of Dave Manson's slap shot, even though we're past it. But Leonard, that's okay. As long as you smash the like button, which would advocate all of you folks do, then that's all good. We're happy to have you. But
and Leonard, by the way, we do this all the time. We go off the rails. That's literally what we do on the show. Is we go off the rails on an hourly basis.
Well, we're only at the 2-1 point right now, Ezzy, and we do have a few more goals to get through. So let's keep this rolling and get to Neal Pionk, aka the skills coach.
And nobody
Gus
misses Drew,
Nyquist,
by the way, Murray. Nobody misses Drew.
Nino Niederreiter, he gets his second assist of the game. Gus Nyquist gets the primary, setting up Neal Pionk to blast the shot. And I'm going to ask your assessment of the goal as to set it all up. The only thing I will mention myself, though, is even though he doesn't get an assist on the play, Jonathan Toews, veteran savvy, takes away Merzlikins' eyes just as Pionk is taking the shot, and without any contact, sets up the perfect screen and gives the Jets that opportunity. They take a 3-1 lead on Pionk's, shockingly, his first goal of the season.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you'd think he'd have, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 goals at this point, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But the second unit's out there, and we know that the second unit has a different look, even though 10 or 15 seconds before this, Nino Niederreiter kind of pulled a Gabe Vilardi where he took the puck. It was to the left of Merzlikins, and he took the puck and he tried to jam it in, kind of toe drag jam it in there. So I liked Niederreiter had the net front instinct there. But yeah, I mean, it's just, nice puck movement. And like you said, Jonathan Toews, like the way you describe that is interesting, Dave, because he's not a huge guy. I mean, you've stood near Jonathan Toews. He's not a huge guy. I mean, me and you aren't huge guys either, but it's what I'm saying is, like, it's not like Adam Lowry was in front of the net or Nino Niederreiter, like these big bodies, right? And what I like is that Jonathan Toews he kind of subtly just goes in front of him and then skates right in front of him right at the end. So you're absolutely right. He was just doing enough to kind of irritate Merzlikins and maybe just get him off of his positioning and his tracking a little bit. Mm-hmm. So and then just a nice shot. It was a big blast, a nice shot from Neal Pionk. And again, at that point in the game, the Jets were, I thought, pretty badly outplaying the Blue Jackets. So I thought they were rewarded for how they were playing. And obviously, we always talk about the insurance goals. But this was a goal that was scored pretty late in the second period to give the Jets a little bit more of a cushion, even though the 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead in hockey. We all know that. The Jets, for a team that has struggled in the middle frame. Yeah. I thought that was one of their better second periods in recent memory.
And worth noting, not my information, I'll credit Kelly Moore of 680CJOB, but Kelly pointed out in our media availability today that one thing about Columbus, even though they're not at the top of the standings, they have been in close games for most of the games. 13 of their 18 games this season have been 1-goal affairs. And whether it was like a 5-4 or 2-1, they played a lot of 1-goal games. So the Jets being able to get a little bit of a cushion too, Ezzy, to not be up only 2-1 after 40 minutes, because you're right, you played a pretty good second period. You controlled the play, not entirely, but you had control of the play more than Columbus did in that period. And so you're rewarded by having a 3-1 lead after 40 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Pat, like, this is the other thing too. Now Patrick is giving me a hard time. He's saying JT is 6'2", 205 pounds. Don't trust what you see on Hockey DB. That's all I'll say about the heights and the weights, because I'm pretty sure Toby Enstrom wasn't he listed at 5'11" or 6 feet at one point on Hockey DB? And I'm 5'9.5", and I'm taller than Toby Enstrom, just to give you a little heads up.
Well, I will say Toews is thick though. I mean, he can definitely handle it. He's not going to get pushed over. Let's put it that way.
I'm just saying, if you maybe he is 6'2". I thought Toews was more 6 feet. Anyways, the point I was trying to make was,
no, I'd say he's taller than Morrissey, but I mean, yeah, I understand what I get where you're going.
Yeah, what do they have Morrissey listed at? Because I've stood beside
6
Morrissey.
feet, I think.
Yeah, like Morrissey's not 6 feet, but I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've stood beside him, and
we've got to pause.
He's not 2.5 inches taller than me, but we'll leave that there for a second, because
the best is when Ezzy goes to do the next media availability, he stands back to back with Josh Morrissey and says, "Dave, measure us," and then we lose our credentials.
How many times have you stood next to Morrissey? Do you think he's 6 feet? I mean, I honestly think that these heights are based on what their skates on. I might be wrong about that, but I've always taken.
Well, you are. It's not. That's not the height with the skates on is.
What?
They don't measure.
But all I'm saying is I'm 5'9.5", and I've stood beside Josh Morrissey. He doesn't seem like 6 feet. That's all I'm saying. But the point I was trying to make is that Jonathan Toews, it wasn't a power screen. That's what the point I was trying to make. Sure. It wasn't like he was, this big looming presence. He was just kind of like, it was a very slick, kind of savvy way that he took away the eyes of Merzlikins. So that's all I'm trying to say, Patrick. Maybe he is 6'2", 200 pounds. But all I'm going to say is, the heights and the weights, For how long was Dustin Byfuglien listed at 230 pounds? Buff hasn't been 230 pounds for a long time. He was more like 260 or 270 when he was playing. So I'm just saying the heights and the weights, take that with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, I mean, who knew that the show was going to devolve? I mean, I knew it was going to devolve. There wasn't a question. You and I doing a show, there's no question that it was not going to devolve. So that wasn't the issue. It was how it was going to devolve, what way we would take it. I didn't think it'd be about a height and weight show, but hey, whatever it is, what it is.
So hockey. Sorry,
Wait.
Dave. I just got to get this in there. I know for a fact Toby Enstrom is not. I've just looked up Toby Enstrom and he was listed at 5'10". I can tell you unequivocally, I was taller than him when I was standing beside him. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying the heights and the weights on NHL.com and HockeyDB.
There may be some inconsistencies with some of them.
Yes,
I'll give you that.
yes, that's
I will
all I'm
give you
saying.
that. I think that's a fair way of putting it without completely derailing the show. Well, we've already pretty much derailed the show. What show are you wondering? That's the Illegal Curve Hockey post-game show brought to you by our friends at Play Now. I'm Dave Minuk. That's Ezzy Ginsburg. We are in the midst of talking about the Winnipeg Jets and Columbus Blue Jackets game. We thank all of you for joining us each and every time the Jets play a game, and of course on Saturday mornings for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show from 9 to 11. All right. Well, Ezzy, you've officially not only derailed myself and yourself, but now the chat
but
is very fixated.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like
I do.
Like, how many times have you? How many times, Dave? Like, let's be honest. Let's just stop here for a second. How many times you've been in a lot of dressing rooms, mainly the Jets dressing room? When back in the TSN 1290 days, I was in the visitor room a lot when we would get postgame audio for the postgame show, and obviously illegalcurve.com. But a lot of times I would be in the dressing room, and like I said, I'm a short, fat guy. Okay, so I'm only 5'9". I'm about 260 pounds. But the point is, a lot of times I'd be in the dressing room, I'd be standing beside a guy, and I'd be like, "This guy's not 6'1", right? Like he's 5'11" or something like that." That's all I'm saying. Anyways, end rant.
Wow. All right. Well, it was a good rant. It was an unexpected rant. Actually, I don't even know if it was a good rant.
Logan Stanley is 6'7", by the way. I have stood close to Logan Stanley. That one, I think I'm not going to challenge that one. I think he's at 6'7".
I'm going to challenge you to focus on Kyle Connor, because Kyle Connor deserves your focus, because he starts the third period, just 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The Blue Jackets look like they're playing a little more aggressive, trying to get within one. Jets take advantage. Mark Scheifele, he makes the nice play, gets it over to Kyle Connor. And is there anything this guy can't do? I mean, it is unbelievable how filthy he is. Because Ezzy, I think Merzlikins, when you could just see Merzlikins kind of like end up in his net, and he's like, what just happened? So I'm going to ask you, Ezra Ginsburg, what just happened? And also, how tall is Kyle Connor? You're muted, Ez. You're muted.
Connor's 6 feet, no?
No, focus. Let's go.
That's the other thing too. Like if you start, if I'm not going to HockeyDB, which I have like 12 windows open here, because now I'm looking at Josh Morrissey's height. I'm looking at Kyle Connor's height. Let's stick to the goals here, but
that's what I asked you about.
Let's talk about Kyle Connor, what he does here. First of all, I thought he went far side top corner originally. I'm not sure if you thought that too, Dave, because I think we're all watching that. And it happened so quickly. You know, we always talk about Kyle Connor's speed in his hands and everything like that. Like, this is just like how many I always think about this. Like, there's not many guys in the league that can do this. Like, there just isn't.
Right.
Like, he's right along the goal line. And, you know, we should mention, too, we talked about it a little bit earlier, Dave. Obviously, I've sidetracked the whole show here, talking about how the heights and weights aren't accurate on HockeyDB, and not just HockeyDB, by the way. HockeyDB does a great job. It's a resource I use all the time. It's NHL.com. It's
Ezzy,
everything.
Come on, focus.
Anyways, I'm focused. Josh Morrissey makes a nice play here in the neutral zone. Sean Monahan, we talked about earlier, he tries to make a little play, passing it up to, I think it might have been who's on his line there. I think it might have been Kent Johnson. But regardless, Morrissey picks off the play, gets it to Scheifele, and Scheifele makes a nice little pass along the blue line to Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor beats out, I think was it Provorov, the defenseman? Or no, hold on a second here. I think it was Dante Fabro who Connor goes around. Yeah, it was Dante Fabro, Dave, who Connor goes around here. And just like it's just an amazing shot location. It's just
Yeah.
it's just crazy that he's able to. And the thing is, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's got his head up the whole time, banks it off of Brzlikins, and just a really impressive goal.
It was indeed. I'm glad C-Mac is enjoying this. He wrote for the folks who are listening to the James Ham wants to know how tall is Drew. Funny.
I'm a little manic right now, Dave. I'll be honest.
And C-Mac is saying I'm dying laughing watching Dave trying to corral Ezzy. So it is a scene, my friends. But hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it our way.
Hold on, did somebody say Golden Corral? Is that what was said there?
No. Focus. You've already deviated one way. You can't keep deviating. This is like, look at that dog. That dog has a puppy tail. Anyways, let's talk about Zach Werenski, Ezzy, because you loved what his game overall, and he gets his 6th goal of the season about a minute and a half later. But he goes with the wrist shot, beats Eric Comrie. Nice pass by Sillinger. What did you see overall in this goal that made it a 4-2 game?
See, I'm not gonna get sidetracked again. But 7 JP 7B saying that I've sidetracked the chat. Like, to me, that's like a badge of honor. that's how I'm doing. Not only have I sidetracked you, Dave, I've sidetracked the chat too.
I will say that that's fair, because oftentimes the chat will sidetrack us. So for us to be able to sidetrack the chat, I'm okay with that. That's a good one, Ez.
And the best is we've got our boy Rick Fritchie, and he's listing all the actual heights and the weights. I love it. There's nothing I like when I have an engaged, we have an engaged chat. But
absolutely. Well, by the way, most importantly, smash that like button, and also make sure you're subscribing to this channel. Let's go, folks. We're climbing the IC nation here. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, and we talked about it, Dave. I mean, let's be honest. Once Kyle Connor scores that 4-1 goal, the game is essentially over. But give Columbus credit. They moved the puck pretty well. The Jets, I thought they were running around a little bit in their own zone here. Mm-hmm. And, you've got talented players on the ice and for Columbus. And, it's, like Pionk sends the puck up the wall to Nemestikov, and it's a turnover. It's a bad turnover. It's an ugly goal. It obviously leads to Werenski scoring. But, I mean, in a game in which, the Jets dominated for the most part, I mean, that's probably, you're talking about a couple of errors, right? The Miles Wood goal, Dylan DeMello, he gets beat a little bit. Miles Wood's a fast player. But like there were a few mistakes in this game. This is one of them. What is James Ham saying? Also, this Tonight Show measures up. I like it. I
had to start that comment. That was James Ham.
I like it.
That was well
Hammer.
done.
I like it. Hammer's coming with the good comments. I appreciate it. But yeah, Werenski's a talented player, and we talked about it. Even though Columbus was playing in the second game of a back-to-back, they're a talented group. Cole Sillinger was the one who got the primary assist on that goal. Yeah. And it turned out to be kind of a garbage time goal. But again, because Connor put the Jets ahead 3 goals, they still had that breathing room, which allowed them to, I think, still play the way they wanted to play, and they didn't have to go into any type of panic or anything like that. But this Logan Stanley goal, Dave, that we're going to get into, I mean, first off, a beautiful drop pass by Mark Scheifele, and Logan Stanley jumps into the play. But man, oh man, if you're Elvis Merzlikins, like, what are you thinking when the Stanimal is coming down the left side of the ice and just absolutely rips a shot glove side? Like, I don't know what that shot was clocked at. It definitely wasn't 98 miles per hour like Dave Manson's, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was definitely above 80 miles per hour, because that was a hard shot.
I'm trying to figure out how you just stole the hosting duties from me, Ezzy. Like, I was waiting to I was going to get into it. I was also going to mention the spectacular save Eric Comrie made, getting across. He made a beautiful save. We should give Dylan DeMello credit, because I think when it was 4-2, the Blue Jackets had a great chance, and DeMello was the only, and on the broadcast, Kevin gave Pearson credit, but it was definitely DeMello who was feeling the effects of that block shot. But you have to give Dylan DeMello credit, because even though he had that on the first goal against less than stellar play, he stood in and prevented it from being, I think it would have made it a 4-3 game. And it's probably a good thing he did, because then, as you said, Ezzy, Stanzilla, Logan Stanley, 3 goals. Remember, Logan Stanley, folks, and we know that Logan Stanley is the used to be, not so much this year, but used to be the target for Jets for a lot of folks. But every year that he's played in the NHL, he's scored 1 goal every season. Not this year.
Wait,
he had 2.
Bardot has some little inside info. I didn't know if you knew this, but apparently Columbus, for the people listening on the podcast, Bardot is saying CBJ have had an illness running through their team the last 10 days. I think they were weakened tonight. and BTB didn't help.
Yeah.
Back to back BTB.
I think I'd heard that Merzlikins had been under the weather. I didn't know it was the whole team. But anyways, that is interesting for sure, Bardo. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. But, this is Logan Stanley, like I said, 2 goals coming into tonight's game, and he wires this. And again, I think Mark Scheifele is more excited for Logan Stanley to score than Logan Stanley was. But he gets 3 goals on the season. The
Scheifele jumped up into his arms. That was awesome.
Yeah, the Kitchener-Waterloo connection connects, and we know they're obviously very close, but it's a big goal for
Southern
Stanley.
Ontario lunch, Dave?
Well, to a degree, but they ultimately take that 5-2. That's the end of the game at that point, effectively, and just a big blast. And it's got to be a confidence booster because and I asked Scott O'Neill about it because we had taken note on the Saturday show about the kind of the more confidence that Logan Stanley has been playing with. So he didn't want to answer my question about sending Lambert and Shiprikov down, but he did answer my question in terms of what he's assessing from Logan Stanley playing with more confidence. And he said, he went up to that second pairing playing alongside Neal Pionk and he kind of just played. And ultimately he's playing now with Luke Schenn. And that's got to be a big thing for this Jets team in a game where you score 5 goals to have 3 of the 5 get scored by your defensemen. So it's one of the things we took note of. Was that 2 weeks ago, Ezzy, when we said it's weird how the Jets are winning games, but they haven't been getting a lot of contributions on the back end, and now that's been erased, and now they're winning in games again.
Okay, so B. Henderson comes through with a beauty comment here. For those listening on the pod, Jets win 5-2 Ezzy's height. Yes, I am actually 5'2". I'm not 5'9.5" like I claim to be. But yeah, Logan Stanley. I'm just watching the replay here. I watched it a couple times. Yeah. I've got it up on one of my browsers here. What a pass by Mark Scheifele. The Blue Jackets have 4 players back in the zone.
Yeah, they have the numbers.
And they have the numbers. Everybody's concentrating on Mark Scheifele, which you should be. Provorov kind of just goes to with a kind of lazy one-hand stick, tries to poke the puck away. Mark Scheifele, there's Logan Stanley clearly yelled Scheif, or I'm here or something, right? Because Scheifele knew that he was behind, but the backhand pass that Scheifele makes to Logan Stanley is just truly incredible. And then obviously Stanley takes it from there, and we see the Stan bomb. But yeah, Logan Stanley, there's, I think, no doubt, Dave, that he is playing with more confidence, and that's a good thing, right? Nobody thinks that, Logan Stanley with Dylan Sandberg and Josh Morrissey healthy is a second pairing defenseman, but he played on the second pair when Sandberg was out and did a good job. And now he's earned that role on the third pair with Luke Schenn there. So yeah, great to see Stanley, because we talked about it a lot. He was criticized a lot last year, and rightfully so at certain points. He was turning the puck over. He looked shaky out there. But he's had a fantastic first 19 games of the season, that's for sure.
Well, we'll give Mark Scheifele our Wheatland Hockey Play of the Game, Smart Play of the Game, Prairie Proud, Hockey Strong, building skills, character, and excellence on and off the ice. A fresh approach to youth hockey and development, proudly serving Winnipeg, Manitoba, and surrounding areas. Wheatland was created to meet those needs, offering developmentally focused, inclusive programs that build hockey skills while fostering confidence, leadership, and resilience. Whew. Well, somehow we got through it. It was a little bit longer than I anticipated, but that's what happens when the cat is away, the mice shall play, as they say. So we appreciate everyone joining us here on the Illegal Curve Postgame Show. Don't go anywhere, because we're going to go to commercial break. And with Drew not here, the Moose, Ezzy, they might have the most loaded roster in 10 years I've had of covering AHL hockey since it returned from St. John.
I'm ready to hit that bumper
to Winnipeg. So after the break, we're going to go to break. The Jets win. That's important, of course. But when we go, we're going to go to break. And then when we come back from break, we're going to talk about the Manitoba Moose and the additions that they've received courtesy of yesterday's roster move from the Jets. So we will now head to commercial break as soon as I can hit the commercials, for God's sakes. And once we do, I can't even find the commercials. I don't know. I think Drew's played around with everything, and unfortunately now I'm trying to find it, and it's not in the thing. So we'll keep this rolling, And where the heck are the commercials? I'm not even joking. I wish I could be like being.
You want me to hit it?
No, I found them. Let's go.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh, boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca.
Guys, big news. You know how I'm always misplacing my cool stuff? Well, Big Daddy has a new hobby, labeling.
Labeling is your new hobby.
You got it. Ever since I discovered Label Daddy's washable labels, I just can't stop labeling. I'm labeling water bottles, hockey sticks, cereal boxes, roast chickens, team jerseys. Everything deserves a label.
I can think of a label or two for you.
Best part is that Label Daddy is the only label company officially licensed by the NHL. So my labels are personalized and can have the Jets logo on them. Just search NHL on the Label Daddy website.
For almost 2 decades, Label Daddy has been helping people to not lose their stuff. It's the most affordable insurance policy around.
For customized, washable, peel and stick labels with no ironing or sewing required, visit labeldaddy.com and search NHL for the label pack belonging to your favorite team.
For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I'm Dave Manouk. That's Ezzy Ginsberg. We were sharing a chuckle off the air, but we're back on air now, Ezzy, and we're keeping it rolling here. Appreciate everybody joining us after.
I just ate a chicken tender.
You probably was it labeled though? That's the question. It is coming to you after a Jets 5-2 win. They improved to 12-7-0 on the season. Next up, Nikolai Ehlers and the Carolina Hurricanes. That's on Friday. Before that, of course, the Jets will practice tomorrow. They're off on Thursday, and then they're going to be back in action on Friday. So we will have everything covered. They're practicing at Hockey for All Center tomorrow at noon. If you'd want to watch, of course, free entry for everyone who goes. So you can go watch the practice. Moose are practicing at 10:30, Ezzy. Maybe that's where we're going to go, if you know what I'm saying. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minute Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Well, that is music to my ears, because, of course, Drew has been very much minimally giving us opportunity to talk about the Manitoba Moose, the AHL club here in Winnipeg. And first of all, they've been winning games. That's important. They've won 4 straight after starting off on a bit of a slide against the Texas Stars. They won the final game in Texas, beat Rockford twice, beat Milwaukee once. So that's 4 straight games for the Manitoba Moose with a win. And now we've got a homestand. By the way, if you want to go to the game, we've got tickets. Legal Curve Zone. Dave at Illegal Curve. Send me a message. Don't send me a message now because I might not be completely focused. But it's a good opportunity to see the Jets of tomorrow, literally tomorrow, because there is a game on Thursday, I should say, at 7 o'clock here in Winnipeg. They kick things off against the Chicago Wolves, who I'm pretty sure they're going to play 5 of the next 8 games instead of, again, more of this unusual scheduling here in the AHL. But
that's great, David. It'll be like a best of 7 or best of 8 or whatever.
Absolutely. But
like the 72 Summit Series, right? That was a best of 8.
Unusually, yes, you are correct.
People forget about that, right? Because there was the tie game.
Good call, Big Daddy. Once again,
a tie game in Winnipeg, actually.
I think
maybe the chat can back me up here again.
I feel like Doug will know that one.
1970, yeah, Doug, help me out here. 1972 Summit Series. One of the games was in Winnipeg.
Or Joe Pascucci, if he's in the chat, he'll remember.
And I believe that game was a tie. And obviously, that was 10 years before I was born. I'm aging myself a little bit here, Dave. I was born in 1982. But my dad told me that he was I believe at that game, or he watched the game, and it was a tie. So somebody back me up here.
All right. Well, we'll get the information by something called the internet, but we're going to talk about the potentially deepest Moose roster I've ever covered at the AHL level since they've returned to Winnipeg, because we know, as we mentioned earlier in the show, Nikita Chibrikov, Parker Ford, Brad Lambert, all sent down. And now you've got Di Giuseppe, Jagger, Fogamo. You've got Barlow, Zhilkin, Jared Anderson-Dolan, and Shaw, Gustafson, and Walker Dewar. So Shaw, Gustafson, and Walker Dewar, in theory, again, I know people get fixated on lines, are now your 4th line. And it's unfortunate because the 4th line for the Moose, the Tyson Empey, Kevin Conley, and Reese Vitelli, the Manitoban, they've been really good. So it is interesting that, there we go. Doug, no surprise, did in fact have that information. So
and T. Konopoli, aka Ty Bauer's uncle.
Oh, okay. There you go. So we got the information. Thank you, everyone. But the fact of the matter is that right now, Ezzy, this Moose team, this is the team we were talking about. We kind of expected. And I mean, remember, I think there's 13 or 14 players on NHL deals. Like, again, that's not an insignificant thing, right, Ezzy? So, I mean, it is a remarkable that they've just received. Again, I'm not trying to be overly, trying to make this more significant than it is, but I don't remember the last time in one fell swoop, an entire line of talent was sent down to the roster, right? You might get one guy sent down, maybe 2, not generally, but to get 3 guys who are all going to be impactful players, it's significant. And we asked Scott O'Neill, like I said, about the idea of those guys going up to playing the last 2 months. And he talked a little bit about it, and maybe we'll ask him about it tomorrow. But I have to think that it's going to be massive for them to go down and now get some. Sorry, Jude. That is a good point. It's hard to be invested in the Moose when we don't know their height. That is a fair one. That is a very good point by Jude. Unfortunately, I kind of almost feel like Jude is as he's like secret pseudonym that he's just trying to reinsert the whole height conversation into the Minute Moose Minute. Is that true, Ezzy, or not?
No, that's not me. Jude is not me.
Okay.
I'd like to say hey to Jude, though.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people call you Ezzy Jude, so I mean it's not an familiar nickname for you.
No, but you didn't get my.
I got your hey Jude. Come on. I got your hey Jude. I got your hey Jude. I dismissed
it. You got it. You just dismissed it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to keep the folks entertained
and
here.
I swear, I haven't been drinking. I'm not on anything. I'm just high on life.
High on
right
life.
Now.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I'm honestly high on the Jets being back in Winnipeg. And I agree with the earlier comment that we had. The chat is way more fun when the Jets win, says Captain Obvious. But I'm just happy with the Jets being back and in town. And just like I said, no Mindell The Manute Ginsburg experience. I mean, who doesn't love that?
As we're well into overtime, the show's already gone for an hour and 15. We're usually around just the hour and 10 mark, but
let's go 90 minutes. Good. I mean, it's early. It was an early game, 7:00. It's only, what is it? 10,
11.
11. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. By the standards we've been following for the last 2 weeks, this is a very early game where we'd still be starting the third period right now, getting ready for the final period before we start the post-game show due to those West Coast games. So there's no question it's nicer to be done a little earlier so we can get focused and get things ready. And it's also nice to have content. And if you are paying attention, remember there were only 2 cameras yesterday at Jets practice, the illegal curve camera and the Jets camera. So make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're following.
Also live barn. Don't forget about that, Dave.
I don't know what that is, but sure.
Live barn. You can.
I know. But I'm saying in terms of actually recording scrums, they're only us and the Jets. So
Dave is actually going to murder me after the show, actually.
No, I'm enjoying it. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me. As long as people are smashing the like button, having a good time, enjoying this inane banter, that's all that matters. And subscribing. So those are the things that keep me happy. Whether we go off the rails and go a little long, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Don't worry, Dave. I'm going to take my medication after the show. Everything's good. Everything's fine.
That really helps us now, but hey, regardless, all of the point I'm making, and I think that folks should be paying attention. I'm not suggesting that the Moose are going to be. It's funny though, because a lot of folks were upset about the state of the Manitoba Moose, worrying that they were in the exact same predicament as last time. And I said quite honestly that you've got to understand that just because you have a bunch of good players doesn't make them a team. So it's going to take some time. They seem to have found chemistry. The lines seem to be working. The young guys are developing. Elias Salamonson, he's looked good. Ville Heinola has started to play better. And I just think that, and have to give credit to Dominic DiVincentis and Thomas Milic. The goaltending has been excellent. So there's a recipe for success in Winnipeg, and Jets prospects are developing in a winning culture. Not a bad thing. So we'll see how it goes from there. But again, I think there's a lot of excitement. And if you want to go to games, as I said, Dave at illegalcurve.com. We've got tickets in the Illegal Curve Zone. And for one of the games, because someone couldn't go, I actually have 6 tickets to a game as opposed to our usual 4. So the IC Zone will be bumping if you'd care to join and go to that. Anyways, as it's been fun, it's been long. Is there anything you want to get to before we kind of say sayonara and send folks to readillegalcurve.com, the postgame recap?
No, I mean, I think just overall impressed by the way the Jets played tonight. We obviously broke down the goals and talked about the game. But this is the way you want to start this 3-game homestand, right? So I think it's impressive. We talked about, getting 3 of the 5 goals from defense, 5 different goal scorers. We didn't even have a ton of time, actually, Dave, surprisingly, to get into Morgan Barron. But I thought, Morgan Barron, just quickly going over his stat line, I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was around 13 or 14 minutes. Hold on, I'll bring it up here. His stat line, let's go here to NHL.com. Let's bring up his stat line. Morgan Barron played 13 minutes, 15 seconds, a couple hits, a block. I don't think he was credited with a shot, but just nice to see Morgan Barron, and nice to see the Jets back at full health, really, Dave, if you want a closing comment. I mean, it's crazy to think it's November, November 18th, or maybe, November 18th.
Yeah.
And the Jets are finally fully healthy, right? With Cole Koepke back as well, but he was a healthy scratch tonight. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Koepke and Gus Nyquist, Dave, I think you'd agree those are probably the guys. Tanner Pearson, you'd throw him in there as well. Kind of there might be.
I actually thought Pearson had a more notable game today.
Yes,
and was looking a little bit. I think the Jets as a collective group looked better tonight. And again,
yes.
you can suggest that the opponent wasn't as significant, whatever. But the fact of the matter, although I mean, Columbus was 5-3-2 in their last 10 games, so it's not as if you were playing a bottom feeder. Number one, but I just thought a lot of guys kind of looked a little bit better than they had, right, Ezzy? So to me, that was one of the things I noticed. Again, Tanner Pearson, definitely, for sure. Although, again, notable, Scott O'Neill's media availability talked about how he liked Koepke and Barron as a duo on the PK. So I suspect you'll see Cole Koepke in sooner rather than later. But, I mean, that is a Saturday afternoon show dialogue. This is what is it, Tuesday night? I think we're Tuesday night right now, Ezzy. Yep. So we'll have to wrap this up because we have gone well past our normal time just to, bring you guys and girls some enjoyment of the moments when Ginsburg and Manute get together and have nobody to pull on the reins like Drew Mandel. So sans Drew, we've been able to rock this, but Frosty Winnipeg is giving us a heads up. Although Danny Zhilkin, I should mention, Frosty, 2 goals in his last game against Rockford, looked real good. He's looked really good, but they've all really looked really good, and we'll get into that. But for now, a big thank you to all of you who make this show what it is each and every time we do go live. And of course, a big thank you to all of the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the postgame show, the Saturday show, and the website, illegalcurve.com, a possibility. They are in no particular order, Ezzy. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Play Now, Holt Dental, City Place, Wheatland Hockey, Boston Pizza, and Label Daddy. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your night. Remember, illegalcurve.com will have full coverage of tomorrow's Moose practice. That starts at 10:30, and then full coverage of the Jets practice. That starts at noon. So I'm doing double duty, but I will have it all covered on illegalcurve.com. And then we are back in action Thursday Moose game. Remember, if you want to go to the game, Dave at illegalcurve.com. And then we're back in action for the, Ezzy, before I forget, Friday show. We've got the Friday show at City Place. That's
Yes.
that's at 12 noon. We'll be at City Place. Come say hello. And the last thing I will say before we go, thanks everyone who ordered Illegal Curve merch. Just to be clear, the merch order now is taken. They will produce everything, and we should have everything for around December 15th. So they've taken the order. They're submitting it to the supplier. The supplier is going to produce the IC merch, and then once it's ready to go, you'll get an email. But just so you guys know, it will be approximately middle of December when it's ready to go. If it's earlier, fantastic, but that's our expectation. So with that, Ezzy, I'm going to say goodnight to you. Well, I'm not going to say goodnight to you because we're going to do the post-game show where Ezzy and I riff-raff a little bit with each other, but I'm going to say goodnight to everyone in the chat. So thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for Ezra Ginsburg. Thanks for Dave Manouk. Drew Mandel's not here, but thanks for Drew. And we will say good night and good luck and have a good rest of your evening. And we'll see you on Friday night for the next IC postgame show.